You're still with us here on the Pulse on the Joy News channel. There's a need for us to tackle some more issues coming up here. The Cybersecurity Authority says it has observed a surge in online impersonation. The authority explains that after its active intelligence on social media in the month of June, it found out that fake profiles of government appointees and other persons of influence are being used to sway online users to make fraudulent investments or to pay fees for non-existing contracts. The Cybersecurity Authority is therefore urging the general public to be very mindful of such accounts when transacting businesses online. Let's get more in terms of the statement released a while ago by the authority, indicating the concerns they have with the activities online. And let's first of all hear from some of the officials from the authority as we ready that statement for you. Joining us now via Zoom is one of the officials there at the authority, joining us and giving us some insight into what it is that the authority is concerned about. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. So first of all, let's talk about this intelligence that was conducted by the Cybersecurity Authority. How often do you carry out such activities, and how come and how did you arrive at this latest finding?
Okay, thank you very much. And a very good afternoon to your listeners also and those watching us. Well, we conduct these threat intelligence based on incidents that are being reported to the authority and trends that we find happening within our cyberspace or over the internet. Now, this kind of threat intelligence actually was influenced by two main things. First of all, it was based on the number of incidents, or in terms of incidents being reported to the Cybersecurity Authority. Online impersonation actually features strongly. When you take, for the first half of the year, for instance, online impersonation forms part of the top 5 incidents being reported to the Cybersecurity Authority. The second thing also is that why we see it as a major threat is that when you look at Ghana's adoption with regards to the internet, Ghana currently, about 53% of Ghana's population is on the internet. Now, when you look at social media where online impersonation is being perpetrated, you realize that Ghana's population, about 23% of Ghana's population are active social media users. Now, what even makes this matter worse is that current statistics available to the Cybersecurity Authority indicates that Ghana is third globally with respect to the amount of time or the time spent on social media. It makes this a major threat if online impersonation is something that features in terms of incidents that are coming in and our use and adoption of social media within the country.
You obviously checked, and then you realized that, for instance, from your close monitoring, government appointees are amongst some of the highest profiles that are being faked online. How so?
Yes, so as part of the work that we do, yes, we go on the internet and check threats that are going to affect Ghana. Social media, of course, being a big platform and has a lot of influence. So we go on there to do some form of monitoring. And also incidents that also are being reported to us features a lot of online impersonation. Now, just as normal users, should you even go on to social media, let's say Facebook, right? And then you type the name of one of our MPs or government appointees there, you realize that the person has more than 5 or 6, sometimes even 15, 20 profiles there. The one person does not own all these, of course. So we do from daily, we go onto the internet, social media, we do monitoring. What we do is that once we come across some of these, we report to them because we have certain level of collaboration with these social media giants. And then we do some form of takedown of these accounts that are lurking on the internet.
Let's do, for instance, a breakdown of some of the items you talk about in that statement which you released earlier today. Portions actually talking about, in fact, you were specific in mentioning some of the institutions that are very rampant on social media in terms of these fraudulent activities that you talk about. You go ahead to point out in the observations you make in point 1 and 2. For instance, you were talking about some institutions such as the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Ghana Police Service, the National Lottery Authority, and also companies like Jata Cement and Awake Limited, which are being used to perpetrate some of these fraudulent activities. And then you talk about how some persons are using gambling and, of course, loan schemes and scholarships to sway online users. With these institutions that, for instance, you identify, is it the case that you're going to engage them to try and rectify the concerns?
Well, when you look at the actual situation, so there are institutions and there are individuals also affected in this particular case. The institutions, well, do not really have much to do with respect to this because the internet or social media actually is an open space. Anybody can go there, create a profile, and put a picture that they can get from anywhere on that profile and claim to be this particular person or brand. What happens is that when you engage in engaging the actual firms or institutions that are affected, what we seek to know is if they do have an actual social media profile. So once we are able to ascertain the original or the legitimate account belonging to that institution or individual, we are able to narrow down and see the ones that are fake. Then we work with the social media giants to take those ones down so that it doesn't affect the actual or legitimate profile of these institutions. So if we engage with them, the only thing we do is that we seek to find the actual profile or the legitimate profile of these institutions. So in our takedowns, we do not wipe those ones out.
But then I guess you're looking for solutions. If you look at the internet space, for instance, it's a highly deregulated space. I'm not sure that taking down some of these pages would be the way to go. But how do you intend really to deal with some of these challenges you've identified?
Yes, I think you've really made a very important statement because these profiles, we've noticed that are even being created sometimes with AI, in that once you take it down, the next moment another one pops up. So it becomes a trend that we keep doing, sending profiles and being taken down, and then the next morning they are back online again. So it is not, of course, not a lasting solution to it. One best way to do is what we are doing now, which is awareness creation, to let individuals, the public know about these things so that when they go on social media, they are aware. Because what happens is that once these profiles are created, they use something we call social engineering on their victims. Okay, so they try to play along as if they are the legitimate brands that they claim to represent, and then they find ways to lure these people into various kinds of frauds. Okay, so the best way to go about this is awareness. Okay, so using your platform, for instance, we reach out to people for them to understand and know that there are things like this happening on the internet. So once you start engaging a profile on social media, you should have that at the back of your mind that this one could also be a fraudulent one. So you take cautious steps in doing so. Technically, yes, we are working in collaboration with the various social media giants to see how best we can rectify some of these. I mean, the best way also to go is to use AI in doing some of these. They are also doing or conducting research into this because it's not just an issue with respect to Ghana. It is a global problem for social media giants. And they're also looking at best ways to solving this technically. However, one way or the other coin to this is creating awareness for people to know that this is something that is happening and we should be cautious of it. For instance, you start engaging something like someone who claims to be a member of parliament or the head of a government institution. Then the person tells you that he can offer you a job. There's no public official who will go over the internet and then offer someone he hardly knows a job. It doesn't happen. We should be wary of these things. Now, you go onto the internet, a brand is being represented. He says, I can give you this product at a very subsidized price looking at the market. sometimes even half, sometimes even 90% less than the actual price on the market. These are signs that we should see, okay, so that we educate ourselves. Once we enter that space and anyone is doing anything of this sort, we are able to identify and prevent. So we are looking at the preventive measure, okay, than in terms of the corrective measures.
Looking at the Ghanaian population, the challenge is you may not have everyone who is tech savvy. So how do you intend to provide redress to persons who may fall victim to such incidents?
Yes, so in terms of victims of these incidents, we have what we call the cybercrime, cybersecurity incident reporting points of contact. So these are carefully selected contacts. So one of them is a short code called 292. So for instance, someone who is not tech savvy, who has fallen victim to such an incident, can just call 292 and will be able to reach the cybersecurity authority. Another one also is we also have a WhatsApp platform, 050-160-3111. Others who are tech savvy can also report incidents via these channels. So once you call and you reach the cybersecurity authority, we are able to give you or take details regarding these incidents. You are able to do follow-ups and then take them down, and if possible, do some form of arrest once we are able to identify those behind some of these schemes.
Is there any other thing the public needs to know about online, the profiles, and when you're dealing with them, how to know that, for instance, this is a genuine Facebook page? Is there something that someone who's not technically, learned in terms of knowing the dynamics online, is there something to be on the lookout for when you're chatting with these accounts on the internet?
Yes, most definitely. It's not all the time that you're all profiles that you are going to be able to identify this. We are trying as much as possible to what we call verify some of these persons and brands that are being impersonated online. So when you go on social media, for instance, you see some of the profiles, there's a blue tick by these profiles. Mm-hmm. What it means is that it has gone through some form of verification with Facebook or the social media on which you are on. Right. So once that has been verified, it shows that this is the legitimate profile of this person. That is one aspect of it. The second one is sometimes the person has not gone through that process. However, it might be the legitimate account of such a person, right? So once you start engaging such a person, okay, from the lines of conversation, like I said, the person is giving you an investment that is promising returns, very high returns in, a very short period of time. A government official giving you a job on social media, he hardly knows you. They are red flags, okay? So it's being able to identify red flags once you start engaging some of these persons. There's no government official that will be on social media to promise some of these things that we find ourselves in. So these are the two main forms through which you can identify these on an impersonated profile. So you look out for the blue tick that shows that it has gone through some form of verification, and indeed that profile actually belongs to this person. And then you look at in terms of what do we call it, engagement. Once they start engaging, you get to know that these things are. So you, again, let me just put this across that once you start engaging and you are not too sure, the reporting points of contact are not only for reporting incidents that have successfully gone through, they are also for doing some form of verifications, okay? So once you start engaging this and you're not too sure, you can still reach out to the cybersecurity authority through these platforms, and we'll be able to do some level of verification for you to identify if you're indeed engaging with a legitimate person or a fraudulent account.
From your perspective, as the emergency response team, would you say that people are getting used to the avenues you've provided for them to redress any concern that they may have, for instance?
I wouldn't say people are getting used to, because we still feel there's more going on out there and we are not receiving the reports. Of course, we are not a government organization and we expect to receive calls from about 30 million and over people regarding some of these things. But the numbers we receive are quite, I would say, not too much. We know there's more going on out there, and there's a need for us to also go to places also and educate people and tell people about these avenues for reporting. So, being here is also one way of reaching out to the public to know that.
But can you give us a sense of the reports you're dealing with now in terms of probably the numbers? Do we have an idea, for instance, for the year 2022 or 2021 alone?
Okay, so I don't have them offhand, but I can tell you, for instance, from January to about May, we had received around close to around 45,000 contacts had been made to us. Not all of these contacts actually were incidents actually. So once we receive the contacts, we go through something we call triaging, where we verify whatever you send to us and we try to categorize it to know if it's really an incident or not. Out of these 45,000, around 9,000 of them were actual incidents. Okay. The rest of them were people calling to check or calling to verify. And we had, of course, certain prank calls also coming in also. So we had people just calling to verify if whatever they are engaging or whatever they are doing online, where that is a majority of that particular number. So I think around 25,000 of that number were calls to check or contacts to check if whatever they are doing online is legitimate or not. So the actual incidents that we have is close to around 9,000 thereabouts.
So it's fair to say that some fraudulent activities online amounted to 9,000 reports in just the first half of the year. Is that the case?
Yes, there are other, they were all not online fraud related incidents. So there were other ones that also came in. We have side online impersonation, online fraud. We have, what do we call it? Publication of non-consensual intimate images. We have online blackmail also happening a lot. And then we have a number of also unauthorized access also within some of these numbers. So not all of them were related to online impersonation.
In all of this, there's also the concern about children, the fact that the internet space is open up to children who may not necessarily have that confidence to walk up to the Cybersecurity Authority to report any incident, or may not even be conscious that they're being taken advantage of online. In such cases, what do you advise?
Yeah, so within the internet space, we consider children as the most vulnerable ones on the internet space because they are naive, being introduced to a big space as this at a very tender age. Now, yes, they might not be able to reach us, but 292 is a number that when we go out to the various schools and institutions. Yes, we tell the kids that once you find yourself in any issue or something that you do not understand, you reach out to the Cybersecurity Authority if you are not too comfortable with going to your teachers or parents. Okay, so we encourage them that the short code 292 is something that is easy to remember. Just call us, we'll get back to you. Sometimes even through text message, it still comes through 292. We get back to them and then we work with them to ensure that they are able to prevent. That's our major priority, prevent some of these things also. And also the Cybersecurity Act also makes provision for the protection of children also. So certain acts have been criminalized now in the Cybersecurity Act, which was passed in the year 2020.
There's this gray area about mobile money fraud. How do you come in then? Because, well, you don't have the activities happening online, but you get to receive calls asking you to follow some prompts either online or maybe through the SSIDs. So how do you deal with that, for instance?
Yes. So what we have also noticed is that when it comes to mobile money fraud in itself, we have seen quite a reduction per the reports that we receive. However, what's happening is that when it comes to the various forms of online fraud, investment scam, what do we call it? Other forms of online fraud, okay? The monies are sent through the mobile money platforms, all right?
Right.
So it's not the mobile money fraud in itself that is happening now, but the online fraud receive funds through the mobile money. One way that we look into addressing some of these things, of course, is through the re-registration of the SIM cards. It's going to do quite a lot of good with respect to these particular ones, because the issue that we faced with regards to some of these issues were that most of the SIM cards that were being used to receive funds, okay, were not properly registered. So once we start or commence investigations into some of these related activities, we find ourselves at a place that we can't move further, because we can't even identify who owns this particular SIM card. It becomes quite a problematic issue. We have to find other ways of identifying who actually owns it. So one of the major interventions that is going to help in the identification or rectifying some of these things is the re-registration of the SIM cards. Once that data is sanitized, now we can put names or ID cards or individuals to these numbers that are receiving fraudulent funds.
I'll take your final words on this.
With my final words, I'll say yes, the Cybersecurity Authority is a body that has been mandated to regulate cybersecurity activities within the space. The Computer Emergency Response Team is a unit within the Cybersecurity Authority. You can reach us on 292, WhatsApp 050-160-3111. We also have, of course, I think it's being displayed on your screen, an email where you can also report at cybersecurity.gov.gh. It's not only for reporting incidents. However, you can call in, you can email us, you can WhatsApp us to do some form of verification. And any help that we have, we will be happy to provide it.
Isaac, thank you for your time.